So you'll eat some soup or something, and if it's hot, then you just start like blowing in your mouth. Yeah, you just start breathing basically. So I was very surprised. Yeah, I couldn't do this. 안녕하세요. 미국에서 온 사바나씨와 반갑습니다. I first learned about Korea mainly through K-dramas. I just thought Korea was very fun based on the K-dramas. I thought about coming to Korea the last semester of university. I believe I was 22. So I only had 6 months before coming to Korea. Yeah, I just tried to do as much research as I could, learn as much Korean, but yeah, it was still a big culture shock when I first arrived here. I hope so. I mean, I think life has become very easy because of that. I hope that I'm becoming adjusted to everything. I know when I first came, I tried really hard to predict everything that would happen around me because I wanted to be prepared for any situation. But now it's a lot easier to deal with the unexpected. So they weren't completely surprised because I did live abroad in Germany before for a year, but they've never been to Korea. They didn't know anything. So they were definitely more surprised, and they did try to stop me from going, but they knew that they couldn't really stop me from going because I was gonna go anyway. I only recently moved to Seoul. Before that, I lived in a smaller town. The most international food around me was Mom's Touch, which is a Korean chicken sandwich place. So I got very used to eating Korean food. Spicy food is still difficult for me sometimes, but I found ways to eat spicy food, so it's not a problem. I know that when I move to America, I want to live close to an H-Mart because I've gotten so used to eating Korean food that I know that when I go back home that I'll miss it. My favorite Korean food, if I could only choose one thing, I would say probably kimchi jeon. It's probably my favorite. So with Korean food, I've noticed that you get so many different things. In America, if you order something, that's your food, and it's just one item. Whereas in Korea, you get your food, but then you get like 10 billion side dishes. Even if you order something that you don't like or you can't eat, there are so many more options. Some characteristics I've seen with Korean people eating is definitely food comes out very hot. And you don't really wait for it to cool down before you start eating. So you'll eat some soup or something, and if it's hot, then you just start like blowing in your mouth. Yeah, you just start breathing basically. I think in America we would blow on the spoon, then eat it. Actually, this really surprised me because in America, if you get burned by your food, it's very serious. Like if you get coffee and it spills on you and you get a burn, you can actually sue the company. Yeah, this was actually like a big thing. So I was very surprised. Yeah, I couldn't do this. So it was crazy because some things would just be boiling and you just automatically start eating. We have hot dishes, but they're not like really hot. They have to be just the perfect temperature, not cold, but not hot. So many times, actually, you might receive food and it might be cold, so you have to actually send it back and then get newer food. I've also noticed that many Korean people don't hold their dishes while they're eating. I wasn't really sure about this because when I eat my soup, I usually put it close to my face because sometimes you're sitting on the ground and it's difficult to eat without making sure that stuff doesn't fall in your lap. So I pick it up and eat it. Yeah, actually now that I think about it, I've never noticed anyone else actually do that. Recently, I've heard that in Korean culture, if you hold your bowl and eat it at the same time, then it could be disrespectful. So in Korea, there are many places that you have to take off your shoes. Restaurant, doctor's offices. Basically, if you walk somewhere and you see like a lift in the floor, then you're supposed to take your shoes off. And usually there will be slippers or things to change into. There will also be maybe a coat rack and you can hang up your coat. It was easy for me, but I found out later from my coworkers that it might be difficult for some other foreigners to sit like that. I think the only time that it really made it difficult was maybe for the length of time because I needed to stretch my legs, but just sitting down and eating wasn't a problem. I've noticed in Korea that if you have a purse or a bag or something, you don't put it on the ground. For me, that wasn't something that I've ever really noticed. Like in America, if I didn't have anywhere to put my bag, I just put it on the ground. It didn't really bother me. But in Korea, that's not really a thing. Usually you put it on your chair. But when you go to Korean barbecue, I didn't really know where to put my bag. So my first thought was just to put it on top of another seat. But there are these special barrel seats. When you stand up, the top actually comes off and you can put your bag inside of it. Once I found that out, it was just so simple. I don't know why we don't do this too. In Korea, many times when you go out to eat, you share your food with the others around you. You can order separate dishes, but usually you put it in the middle of the table and kind of eat from both. Also, people will offer you food. This is kind of surprising for me because usually when I order my food, this is my food. And so I think it's the same way for other people. And we say like stingy. If it's mine, it's mine. You can't have mine. If you want it, you order you some. So it was very surprising that people would just give you stuff. You know that they like their food, but they will give you some of it themselves. I've had students give me their gummies before, their snacks, because they like it, so they want me to like it as well. But we don't do this in America. So if you want something, then you usually have to order it yourself, or before you order, you need to discuss with the person. Even then, you order a separate plate, and then you put it on your plate, eat it separately like that. So today I talked about eating with my Korean friend and the different characteristics I've noticed. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.